And one of the questions I got in, which I actually thought was just a really interesting question, is how do I make sure that no child is falling behind if I'm not using something like Development Matters as a checklist? What kind of methods and ways do I understand and identify the children who are falling behind in a way where we move away from this kind of checklisted approach towards the Development Matters guidance?
Okay, so again, a really important question. And just briefly before I answer it, I'm also going to remind people that unless you're a reception practitioner in an early adopter school, the new EYFS and the new guidance doesn't come on stream until September 2021. So we're really in a space to think and reflect on this and make sure that we use the new materials as well as possible, rather than implement something new in a kind of massive hurry and throw out systems that may be working perfectly well because we feel under great pressure. So it is really, it can't be overstated, can it, that we've got to be certain that the children are doing as well as possible in our care. We've got to make sure that they're learning and they're making progress. That is absolutely fundamental to what we're doing. But the new Development Matters does take a bit of a different angle on how to do that. So it's a lot shorter than the previous version of Development Matters. It's about 2/3 of the length. You can read it in about an hour and a half to give you that big overview of children's learning in the EYFS and the sorts of ways that adults can support it. But Development Matters is really there as a backdrop to what you are doing as a practitioner front of house, and that is designing the right sort of curriculum and care routines and approach for the children you're working with. So you know your children, you know your local community and your families. You're putting together the sort of curriculum, the sort of care routines, the sort of resourcing that is really going to work for those children. So Development Matters is guidance in the background. Much more day-to-day importance is that design of curriculum and care routines. And where you're looking at children's progress. So the first question you have to ask yourself is the curriculum, i.e. the sort of learning and play experiences you're offering children, is this curriculum accessible for all the children I've got on roll? And it could be that you actually have to make a bit of an adjustment to what you normally do at the moment, where you may have lots of children coming in who perhaps have been at home for quite a few months during the lockdown and post-lockdown period. So we're always reviewing it and checking it's right, checking that all the children can access it. How do we check that all the children can access it? That's about that really sharp observation and noticing what children are doing. And it's about all the care, support, or in kind of more educational language, the scaffolding that staff give to children so that they can take part in the different experiences, so that we notice who's not taking part in certain things and we help them over time to join in. So the assessment and progression issue here is about us thinking as practitioners, what are the key milestones on the way in our curriculum? What are the key things that will show that children are, for example, becoming more skilled in the way they use our woodwork area or our block play area, or that their conversation becomes longer, they're using more new words, they can hold conversations with more turns. So we're thinking about some of those key milestones and keeping an eye that children are making progress through that progress model. It's not about giving children levels. It's not about giving them numbers. It's about making sure that we've got the curriculum and the offer and the care routines right, that all children are accessing, and that through the access of that progression model, children are doing well. And of course, some children at different times won't be doing so well as the others. And that's where we have to give them that extra help that they need. And just one last thing to say about that is that it's really important that that curriculum is broad and it's ambitious and it's fascinating and engaging for all of the children. And the flip side of that is when sometimes we worry about children who don't seem to be thriving so well in our setting, and then we narrow down what they experience. We maybe do things in small group interventions with them or all sorts of other stuff. Now, those small group interventions may work really well to give children a quick boost and the help they need so they can take part in that rich and varied curriculum. But all too often, what happens is we focus very narrowly on some sort of intervention or some sort of progression target in development matters, and children stop having the rich and varied early years curriculum that they need. And the children that miss out the most when that happens are disadvantaged children and children with SEND. So we've got to rethink this excessive focus on progress targets and data tracking. And we've got to go onto a new road where, yes, we're keeping up to date and making sure that all children are making progress. But we're doing that through the offer of a really well structured and designed and delivered curriculum with the right sort of care routines integral to that.